101.7 The Point.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
Please press button now. No, that number's bigger than the one I said.
This is Sports Talk. Chris Bergen and Pat Daniel. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
Good evening. Welcome to Sports Talk Media Network here on Monday night. A great weekend. Y'all certainly did. You got Cook, you got Brody, and you got Pat on our phone number 898-2525. Want to hear tonight about Carolina spring game? You saw it in person or you watched it on. I had a wedding that I had to attend. So he came down to Columbia. I guess you came up to Columbia. Florence covered for it, so he's got the bird's eye view of what happened down Carolina on Sunday. I've been watching for the tape up. I'll add in a little bit. I'd love to hear from you, your game, how you feel. Now, I know it's sort of a situation with all injuries that a complete read on players that contribute to the ball, not participate Sunday, but enough of key players to get some idea about that. And so we'll love to hear from you. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery. Lucky number for you here on Sports Talk. Give us a call, and we'll get you through and on the air and hear what you have to say about that. Clemson recovered in baseball over the weekend. Got the 3-game sweep of Wake Forest thanks to the Sports Talk Kiss. I know sometimes coaches in our state need a little something extra to help them get over the top. Monty Lee was with us on Thursday. He was the fortunate recipient of the Sports Talk Kiss. Tigers had to work hard where they have a couple of walk-off wins in that doubleheader, but they got the sweep nonetheless of Wake Forest and got their record back to 500. So I know they're feeling good about that. Another terrific race at Talladega, if you like, a lot of broken automobiles and a lot of, chewed up cars and bent fenders and things like that. And now, we're a couple of weeks away from Darlington. Things are happening there as we get ready for the Darlington weekend, the Goodyear 400 Sprint Cup race coming up in a couple of Sundays. Clemson golf team, the Clemson men, won the ACC championship today. Came down to a playoff, and Tiger rolled in a putt on the 21st hole to win. We'll talk more about that coming up. So Larry Penley, who is making his it's his swan song with the Tigers, his goodbye tour as they go to the postseason. A great way to do that by winning the ACC championship again. Give you more details on that coming up. 888-898-2525. So, Bergie, you were up at Williams-Brice yesterday. It was a beautiful day for football, about 13,000 plus on hand to watch it. I know Gamecock fans were anxious to see what Shane Beamer and company would put on the field. But like I said, with all those players, like 20-something players missing because of injuries, and a lot of those key players, you weren't going to get a complete feel for the team, and you weren't going to get to see a whole lot of exotic stuff offensively or defensively because they want to save that for the real games.
I think, unfortunately, Phil, you found out what you knew was true and didn't find out things you didn't know as to whether or not they were true, because you knew South Carolina coming off of last year with Kevin Harris and the job he did running the football. The Gamecocks were probably going to be a pretty good run team this upcoming fall, in particular with the return of Marshawn Lloyd. We assume he's going to be back from from his offseason injury prior to last season. So you get him in the mix. The one thing, though, that I was impressed with, and I don't think you can underscore how well he ran the football yesterday, is Zaquandre Wright. They have talked about him all through spring. At 95 yards rushing yesterday, had a 22-yard gainer on the, I believe, the second play of the scrimmage. I thought he was terrific and by far the best player of the day yesterday. Luke Doty was solid at quarterback, did not do anything that would give you an idea, and Shane Beamer said in as much afterwards in his post-game press conference, he's the starter coming out of spring, but I was probably more impressed with the FCS transfer, Jason Brown, and some of the balls he threw. He actually had the longest pass of the day, 27 yards, and had a terrific TD toss to E.J. Jenkins in the right corner of the end zone, one of those fade routes over the shoulder. I thought he looked really, really solid, and for a guy who, if they had put a depth chart together, their spring was probably fourth. He may have elevated himself all the way to number 2 coming out of spring. I thought he was terrific yesterday, but the deal is he threw 5 passes. Luke Doty threw 7. So I don't know how much you're able to gain out of what we saw yesterday. The bigger concern is the amount of injuries that the Gamecocks had. And also, R.J. Roderick got hurt early in the scrimmage yesterday after a play in the end zone. He actually committed a pass interference on an interception that he got from Luke Doty. So it sounds like everybody came out of it okay and not anything that would linger into the summer and certainly into the fall. But I don't know that yesterday showed us anything that we didn't already know about Carolina football coming off of last season.
Yeah, I agree with you about Brown. Watching the tape, and he throws a nice ball. I mean, he put some balls, he didn't throw many. The ones he completed, he put them on the money, and I'm just thinking to myself, Luke Doty's got to be able to throw the ball down the field. We've heard Shane Beamer say more than once this spring that one of his concerns about the offense, the lack of explosive plays, the lack of down the field big plays. And you didn't see that from Luke Doty. He's an okay passer in the short stuff in the mid range, and of course he's always got his legs. But he's not Michael Vick, and he's not going to be that kind of quarterback who's just going to rely on his legs and beat you to death that way. You're going to have to throw the football, and you're going to have to throw it successfully down the field. And I think there's a real question here as to whether or not Luke Doty can do it. Jason Brown, again, with a very small sample size here, very small sample size. But I thought when he had the time, he stood in the pocket, and he threw a really nice ball, and he has a very quick release.
It's funny you mentioned Luke Doty and stretching the field. Josh Kendall, the state newspaper, that was one of the questions he asked Shane Beamer in the postgame yesterday, Phil. And Coach Beamer somewhat bristled about that question. I thought it was a fair question to ask because you bring up the point. If whomever's at quarterback for USC going into the fall, if they cannot stretch the field, how in the world can you run the football? And South Carolina is going to be really good at running the football. It looked like both lines of scrimmage played pretty well yesterday as well. Zach Pickens got a fumble recovery that set up a 47-yard field goal. That's something we don't normally touch on, but a nice kicking job by Mitch Jeter yesterday to knock, and he made it easily from 47 yards out. Now, no game pressure, no rush, that type of thing. But I thought the defensive line played pretty well. Offensive line played well. But that's going to be the biggest question mark going into the first game of the season. Can they stretch the field? And one guy that appears to be Luke Doty's option there is to carry on Joyner. They gave out all the spring awards. Joyner had 3 of them, including GPA award on the offense. He was also special teams player of the spring and the co-offensive player of the spring, along with Nick Muse at tight end. And speaking of the tight ends, Phil, thought something else was interesting yesterday. Jaheim Bell, who is listed as a tight end, ran the football actually 5 times yesterday and scored a touchdown because they didn't have anybody else to give the football to. I chuckle. It's not a laughing matter, obviously, with the injuries they had and sitting some guys out. But Jaheim Bell, just in an emergency situation and in a room that is pretty full on the tight end side, he was able to come into what we felt like was going to be a pretty deep running back stable as well, and performed okay yesterday. He at least gives them another option at running back should they run into trouble going into the fall.
888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. If you want to join in the conversation, talking about the South Carolina spring game, and Zaquandre White was certainly the biggest offensive star of the day, and he has been a guy that these new coaches, they have loved from day one. They love his skills, his talents. They love his approach. his enthusiasm, his attitude, et cetera, et cetera. And he got his chance to shine. And I know it's spring game, and there's been a lot of, over the years in spring games, there's been a lot of spring game heroes you never hear about again in the fall. We've seen that a lot at South Carolina, Clemson, and other places. I don't know if this kid's going to go away, though, because he's making a name for himself, toting the football. He's making a name for himself on special teams. He can play linebacker if you need him to. You know, he was at Florida State, and he went to be a running back. They moved him to linebacker, and he did well. He did okay there, but he wanted to be a running back, and that's why he left to go to the junior college and made himself into the number one junior college running back prospect. Kind of got lost in the mix last year with everything at South Carolina, and Harris having such a great year, never really got a chance. Showed his stuff. The thing I liked watching it on tape, I mean, his extra effort, his ability to move the pile some. Maybe that's a condemnation on some tackling. I don't know. But it just seemed like his effort was great, and he looks like a guy that every time he's on the football field, he's out to prove a point.
Well, and I think his athleticism was on display yesterday as well. There was a scenario in which they ran a screen pass, and Luke Doty waited until about the last possible second to dump it off to him, and in the process had to throw through about 4 or 5 arms, and White was able to catch it sort of off balance, square his shoulders, and get up the field and showed that he may be a receiving threat out of the backfield. He turned that into a 19-yard play when he probably should have been stopped at the line of scrimmage. Now, again, is that an indication on some poor tackling around the line? I don't think so. I think he showed his several flashes yesterday of his ability to be elusive, to zig and zag and spin out of tackles. I thought he did a really nice job, and there's no question he was the player of the game yesterday.
All right, 888-898-2525, our South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. We'll go over some other news notes of the day, but love to hear from you. Get your thoughts on what you saw. What do you think of the Gamecocks now that you have something tangible to sink your teeth into? Don't forget, if you lose us over the airwaves, you can find us on our various streams on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook, and, of course, our stream on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. You can always find us should you lose us over the airways from one of our great radio stations. Your calls are coming up next here on Sports Talk.
The lady in black doesn't age. She just gets tougher. And Throwback Weekend is when she likes to remind all the friends, families, drivers, and dreamers just how they got here. Business up front and parties in the back. Over 70 years of history held together with one famous black stripe. Too tough to tame? I guess you'll have to find out. Darlington Throwback Weekend, May 7th through 9th. Get your tickets at darlingtonraceway.com.
South Carolina, just right.
Membership with the Founders Federal Credit Union is a slam dunk. With services like Founders Online and the Founders app, you'll enjoy all the perks of a big bank with local personalized service. Not a member? Joining Founders Federal Credit Union is easy. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our more than 30 locations to see if you qualify for membership. Relax with Founders. Services require credit evaluation. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
Hi, it's Phil with longtime attorney Jim Corbett. You do car wreck cases?
And truck wrecks, any serious injury cases, and work injuries.
How about when grandma's wills change right before the end or someone spends all their money?
Oh, yes, and business lawsuits.
How about problems with insurance companies?
All the time, like after a fire or when a life insurance claim is denied.
JimCorbettAttorney.com has your email and phone number?
That's Corbett with an E, www.JimCorbettAttorney.com to email or call me to mediate, try, or settle your case.
If you're looking for a great weekend escape, make for Santee, South Carolina, and Clark's Inn and Restaurant. Santee provides the perfect backdrop for recreation and adventure. Clark's provides the perfect backdrop for relaxation. Just minutes from Santee Cooper Lakes and 3 championship golf courses, Clark's Inn and Restaurant is a short drive from wherever you are in the Palmetto State. Since 1946, the Clark's hospitality has been making Santee easy to find, but hard to leave. Visit ClarksInnandRestaurant.com today.
Enjoy life to the fullest with tasty peanuts that pack a lot of flavor. When it comes to eating peanuts, the research is clear. Peanuts improve your health. Peanuts, a snack that gives back. Crack some open today for a nutritious, sustainable, and earth-friendly treat. Be sure to stop by your local grocery store produce section to pick up a bag of roasted in-shell peanuts. Brought to you by the South Carolina Peanut Board. Visit aboutpeanuts.com for delicious peanut-based recipes.
Hey folks, mortgage rates have dipped to their lowest levels in recent history, and with home values up in many areas, now may be the perfect time to refinance your home. Whether you're looking to lower your monthly payments, free up cash for home improvements, or just pay off your home faster, a quick call to the one and only Stuart Wingo of Ameris Bank could save you money. If you're looking for competitive rates and exceptional service, call Stuart Wingo, 803-319-1777. That's 803-319-1777. You will save money just like I have so many times over the years. You can also visit him, amerisbank.com/Stuart Wingo. Stuart Wingo, the man with the plan for all your mortgage needs.
Life. It has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsiblysc.com.
Phone number here on Sports Talk, 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery, lucky number. Hope your number is lucky with the lottery. Did you know that since 2002, more than $999 million in lottery proceeds have been used to support K through 12 programs in South Carolina? Learn more about the South Carolina Education Lottery's impact at seeducationlottery.com/education wins. Playing for fun is a win for education. All right, good to be back here in the studio. Was not able to go to the spring game at USC Sunday. I was inside the People's Republic of Charleston this weekend. I mean, it truly is like going to another country. Not necessarily communist, but it's like going to another country. The People's Republic of Charleston, because they don't care about the rest of us. I'll tell you that, the residents. No, we had a great time. Good friend of mine's daughter was married, and it was a pleasure to be there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I was supposed to be at the football game if it were going to be on Saturday, but since they moved it to Sunday, we had to call our ace out of the bullpen, Mr. Berge, and he came up and took care of that.
I did enjoy the game yesterday, and I wanted to back up and make sure I give credit where credit is due. Josh has moved over to the Athletic, no longer with the state, does a terrific job over there. But one thing, in a former life, I used to criticize our brethren to the north up in North Carolina because of some of their COVID restrictions. I used to call them the Democratic People's Republic of North Carolina.
Yeah.
So I understand your point.
Yeah. No, I'm not even referring to it for that reason. Everywhere we went around Charleston with folks, I mean, everybody was wearing, all the workers, the servers, and they were all wearing masks and doing the right things from that standpoint. A lot of people weren't, but people inside the restaurants who were tending to you certainly were. So in the hotels as well. So anyway, had a great time. And I appreciate you going to the game. We're going to hear from Shane Beamer a couple of times here tonight on the program, and let you hear some of his thoughts about his first spring game at South Carolina. What are your thoughts? 888-898-2525. We'll take some calls and drop in some other news notes as we move along here. Let's go to RJ in Columbia. First with us tonight, first up this week. Good to have you. Welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
I'm doing good, Corn. Hadn't talked with you in a while. Next time you go to Charleston, just wear a seersucker suit, brown loafers, and no socks. You'll fit right in. They'll never think you're from Latta.
They will. Unless I open my mouth, they'd never know I was from Latta. Okay.
I watched the game, the spring game, and if Carolina cannot score 31 points a game next year, they will not win more than 5 games. I thought the defense was awful. I thought the offensive line, I saw guys on their backs all game. And, they're not supposed to have a great offensive line. I do agree with you with Brown with the quarterback. As Spurrier would say, at least throw the ball. If you're going to be back there at quarterback, throw it. I do think his delivery, his sidearms, a little funky. But I do agree, and I thought White did run the ball very hard. But I have to disagree. I do not think the defense looked good at all. I think they looked very poor. So I'm going to hang up and listen and enjoy your show, Corn.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. What do you think, Bergie? Was defense, from what you saw, pretty poor?
He brings up an interesting point about the defensive line. I'm not so sure I'm quite ready to go to that point that they didn't play all that well. They were able to pressure the quarterback on occasion. I think one thing you still have to measure what we saw yesterday is how many guys, especially in the defensive secondary, were injured and unable to play. Now, again, that's not an excuse. That's a fact of life. And then when R.J. Roderick got hurt, they had to pull him out as well. So they go from very little depth to almost none. But I can see, certainly you can see some issues. But is that because the offensive line played so well? Or the defensive line plays so poorly, and that's why one side of the football, basically the starters, were able to rack up 121 yards on the ground in virtually less than a half a football.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, they did play, for example, no Aaron Sterling, no Jabari Ellis, no Sherrod Green, no Cam Smith. And listen, I'm just going off my notes here. I don't think they had R.J. Roderick got hurt, of course. No Jalen Dickerson. I don't think Jamar Brown played. A lot of defensive players sat it out. Again, it's an exhibition. It's a meaningless game. It's just a way to give people a look at your football team. And, I mean, the defense, when you break it down, I would say the defense is supposed to be the strength of this team. The defense in the running game should be the strength of this team. The defensive front, we've heard nothing but good things about the defensive front through the spring. Guys like Pickens and Hemingway and Inabare, who did play well yesterday, right? He really stood out yesterday, didn't he?
He actually led them in, second on the team, I believe, in tackles. I'm looking up. Actually had 3 tackles yesterday, but 2 of them were sacks. And Fortune actually led them in tackles with 6. So, but they played okay. But again, I think RJ may be right, just in a different route. South Carolina may have scored 31 points per ball game just because that's the new nature of college football. You may have to put up 27 to 30 points a game, regardless of how good your defense is, to win contest. Alabama has proven that as good as their defense is. Clemson's proven that as well, even with the stout defense the Tigers have.
Question becomes, can this team score? Can this team score 30 points a game from with the personnel it's got on the offensive side?
Ooh, that's a tall order right there. I don't know. I don't think so.
If they're going to rely heavily on the running game, you're thinking that, and a team that's not going to have great down the field striking ability, you think at this point, then you're talking about a lot of long drives, time consuming drives. You hope to score, and then you hope your defense can hold the other team in check, and you can win. Once again, we're talking about winning games 21-17, 28-24. If you ever score 30, I mean, that's a pause for celebration right there when that happens. So I don't know. You don't want to draw too many conclusions off a spring game, certainly, especially one where so many frontline players were out. But you can also get a feel for what a team can do from a spring game and a general feel. And I think that the lack of down the field striking ability right now is something that is certainly apparent with this team. It's something that Shane Beamer has brought out himself, though in his post-game comments, he was firm in his comments about Luke Doty being the starting quarterback, really leaving no question in his mind at this point that he's clearly the guy that gives them the best chance to win.
Yeah, I think having seen all 15 spring practices, we did not get that luxury. We're judging what we saw in 24 minutes of football yesterday and then some situational drills in the second half of the scrimmage. I think that's fair. Obviously, he sees them and knows them a lot better than you and I. And Luke Doty did not do anything yesterday where you would think, oh, my gosh, this guy can't win a ball game in the SEC. Plus, keep in mind, they also hamstrung him a touch, if you will, because every time he tried to step up or elude tacklers, the whistle blew. So they weren't going to give him that second option that he's pretty good at doing, and that's escapability and getting out of the pocket and creating plays when they begin to break down.
All right, phone number 888-898-2525. We'll take more calls after the break. We'll also hear from Shane Beamer after the break. The Braves tonight got a game coming up at home against the Cubs. Charlie Morton going to the mound for the Braves, 1-1, 3.91 against Zach Davies. Braves had a bad day yesterday. They really had a bad day. Didn't they have a bad day yesterday, Pat? They had a bad day yesterday.
One combined hit in 14 innings over 2 games is not a very good day. That is correct.
Does not make for a happy Patty.
And now, even as a Braves fan, that should have been a no-hitter. That absolutely should have been a no-hitter for Jake Arrieta. That's absurd by MLB to not, just because it's 7 innings. Just my thoughts.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I mean, come on. A baseball game's not... We shouldn't be playing 7-inning Major League Baseball games anyway, should we? I mean, what the hell? All right, we'll be back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Clear and cool tonight with low dipping to 52. Tomorrow, the warm-up continues with mostly sunny skies at a high of 86. Wednesday, it's 88 as a high. And by Thursday, we're looking at sunshine and a chance to hit 90. The next rain in our forecast won't arrive until Friday. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
When I served in Iraq and Afghanistan, my buddies and I would do anything for each other. That's important whether you're in a firefight or fighting to regain your life. When I came home injured, there are people I can count on, like DAV.
DAV, Disabled American Veterans, stands behind America's veterans to make their transition back home easier with free services and help getting the benefits they've earned. Help us fulfill the promise to our men and women who served. Go to DAV.org to learn more.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Organizers of the recall effort against California Governor Gavin Newsom collected enough valid signatures to qualify for the ballot. The California Secretary of State's office announced Monday that more than 1.6 million signatures had been verified, about 100,000 more than needed to force a vote on the first-term Democrat. An election is likely in the fall where voters could face 2 questions. Should Newsom be recalled, and who should replace him? The votes on the second question will only be counted if more than half say yes to the first. Last week, Caitlyn Jenner joined in the list of candidates running to replace Newsom. In 2003, voters recalled Democrat Governor Gray Davis and replaced him with Republican Arnold Schwarzenegger. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 61 points. The Nasdaq rose 121. More details at srnnews.com.
Spring is more than pollen season. It also means it's termite season. Palmetto Exterminators offers a free inspection at your home to determine any possible issues. Palmetto Exterminators offers the best termite agreement anywhere, but they do so much more. They offer complete pest control, mosquito control, wildlife trapping and removal, and nobody, I mean nobody, can offer you more peace of mind at your home or business. Now, how do I know that? Well, I never tell you to use someone like Palmetto Exterminators unless I practice what I preach. Now, I've been a customer for 19 years, and they are wonderful. My guy, Ron Byers, and his team over at Palmetto Exterminators, they've looked after my family forever. We have no pest control issues whatsoever. But if we did, all it takes is one phone call, and Palmetto Exterminators will fix it. It's pretty simple. Call Palmetto Exterminators and cross pest control right off your list of concerns. Online, it's palmettoexterminators.net, or give my guy Ron a call, 254-5833.
Now is the time to build your business. Tune in on Mondays at 9 a.m. for The Brainstorm with Matt and Mike, founders of Splash Omni Media. We work with hundreds of business owners and will have the answers you're looking for. Mondays at 9 a.m. The Brainstorm with Matt and Mike.
Hi, this is Marcia Clayman.
And I'm Karen Pickard. We're your hosts for The Positive Point on Aging.
We'll talk about aging gracefully and senior care every Tuesday morning from 8:30 to 9 o'clock a.m.
Join us right here on The Point for The Positive Point on Aging.
Brought to you by Oakley Village of Lexington.
Is that crack in your windshield or your house bothering you?
Have you been meaning to have it replaced but just can't find the time?
Call Absolute Glass, voted Lexington's best glass shop for 12 years in a row.
We repair and replace glass on all makes and models.
We're the only local high-end auto glass specialist in the Midlands, and we'll come to you to make the process quick and easy.
With new technologies and vehicles, we can recalibrate your vehicle back to new.
Visit AbsoluteGlassInc.com to learn more about our auto, home, and business glass services. Just remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
Hello, Midlands. It's Jay here with The Melting Pot. Here's a few questions we get when people call us. Do we serve only chocolate? No, we serve 4 courses, but you can get just chocolate or 4 courses of chocolate. No, you don't have to sit at a big table with strangers around you, but you can sit at a big table with friends around you. You just need to bring the friends with you. We also specialize in having lots of private booths with real walls between them, so you won't feel like a fish in a plexiglass tank. Come and see us at the Melting Pot, 1410 Colonial Life Boulevard.
A community vaccination center is now open at Columbia Place Mall on Two Notch Road in Richland County for South Carolinians age 16 and older. Translators will be on site and transportation assistance will be provided by the Comet. No appointments needed. Walk-ins welcome. For more information, call 1-866-365-8110. That's 1-866-365-8110.
Couple of quick notes, then back to your phone calls, and some Shane Beamer coming your way here on Sports Talk. 888-898-2525. The story on Clemson's championship of the ACC men's golf today. Zach Gordon made a 20-foot birdie putt on the third playoff hole to defeat Grayson Porter, gave Clemson a 3-2 victory over second-ranked Florida State, the 10th ACC title for Larry Penley, and his 83rd overall win, more than any coach in ACC history. So the Tigers get another trophy. They'll await the NCAA regional bid on May the 5th, and they could be the number 1 seed in the country when all that comes out. We'll wait and see. But the Tigers win that thing with a dramatic putt, basically in overtime, as we say. Zach Gordon defeating Grayson Porter, 21 holes. The other Tiger wins went to Jacob Bridgman, 1 up, and Kyle Cotton, who won 2-1. So Clemson wins the ACC Men's Golf Championship. Disappointing weekend for South Carolina men's golf is just like the women. They lose in the quarterfinals, the SEC, to Alabama in that match. So they did not have a chance to advance very far at all in the postseason with the SEC tournament, but they'll be in the NCAA tournament as well. A few other items here to pass along. Gamecocks in the baseball polls this week. Collegiate baseball, number 7. Perfect game, number 8. Baseball America, 12. D1 baseball, 13. USA Today coaches, 15. The RPIs around the state this week. USC is 10. Upstate is 35. Clemson, 66. Significant move for the Tigers. Coastal Carolina, 67, Wofford 96, Presbyterian 176, College of Charleston 196, Winthrop 232, Charleston Southern 236, and the Citadel 269. Joe Milton made it official today of his transfer from Michigan to Tennessee. So, Chris, this changes things there in Knoxville for sure. Gives them another quality quarterback prospect to run into the mix there with some of the young ones they have in that program. And Clemson's president, Jim Clements, named to the College Football Playoff Board of Managers today or over the weekend. So nice new honor for him. The pitching matchup for USC Citadel tomorrow night. Jack Mahoney for the Gamecocks, 1-0, 1.44. And Lathan Todd, right-hander for the Citadel, 2-5, 7.46. Our poll question of the week. Once the NIL laws are in place, how much would you pay your favorite college athlete to promote your business?
Oh, wow. What a good question. What are the choices?
$50,000 or more, $25,000 to $50,000, up to $25,000, or I'm not in favor of the NIL. Thus far,
question, Corn.
Thus far, 54% say they're not in favor of the NIL. 27.7% say they would pay up to $25,000 to have their favorite college athlete promote their business.
You know, it's interesting too, doesn't it? You take fandom out of the mix, don't you? And here's where it'll be curious to see how people respond to this, because let's assume I'm a Gamecock fan and I run a business in the upstates. Do I want take a name out of the hat. Do I want Leah Boston promoting my car dealership, or would I rather have Trevor Lawrence in the upstate promoting my car dealership?
Good question. Hey, man, it's about your heart or your wallet,
Exactly.
What's more important to you? And you bring up a good lead into my next note here, has to do with car dealerships. Remember Peter Boulware?
I do.
The great linebacker out of Spring Valley in Florida State and many years in the NFL. He has purchased a Toyota dealership in Columbia, formerly Fred Anderson Toyota. The dealership will now be known as Peter Boulware Toyota of Columbia. All right. Very nice.
Interesting.
The Boulware family is you talk about a great family now of athletes and smart people. That whole family. I mean, his brothers, two brothers, I think. One brother, Michael. Is there another? And then I think Caleb Boulware is a terrific basketball player. Great family out of the northeast of Columbia, Spring Valley area. Let's go to Rob in Florence. Next phone call here on Sports Talk this Monday night. Welcome in, Rob. Good to have you with us.
Chris Bargan, man. I've been looking for you. I didn't know you were on Phil's show, man.
You have found him.
Well, I appreciate that, pal. I'm actually still here in Florence physically. My voice just going out over the state now. But, yeah, I'm still here in town. Just Phil was kind enough to offer me a safety net, so I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, I'm down in Morrilton. We had a soccer game down here. I'm getting ready to head home. I just called you on 100.3. But, hey, I know you guys talking Carolina football. I got zero to add for that, but I just want to say great to know that you landed in a good spot. And Phil, take care of him. He does a good job, and we certainly miss him.
Oh, he's carrying the load.
Oh, wow.
He's carrying the load. I'm just back for the ride now. Hey,
well, that makes sense, Phil. Yeah, that makes sense. But anyway, you guys have a good one. Thank you for a few minutes to say hello.
Thank you.
Rob, thank you.
Good
for the
to hear
call.
from you.
That's kind.
Yeah.
And remember, Phil drinks heavily too, so
as much as he
say
can,
something like that,
especially after this weekend.
Like no doubt. By the way, speaking of the weekend and dovetailing before we move forward and dovetailing off our Sports Talk kiss to Clemson baseball.
Yeah.
Also, congrats to Monty Lee, got his 200th win as head coach of the Tigers over the weekend.
Yeah. And some thought he'd never get there. And he's there. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery, lucky number here on Sports Talk. And what you got? You want to make a quick correction, you say?
If I can, Corn. Just before the break, when I was speaking about the Braves yesterday, I said Jake Arrieta mistakenly. I was reading something about the Cubs. I meant to say Madison Bumgarner, who is the starting pitcher for the D-backs, who threw that 7-inning no-hitter, as I'm going to refer to it.
I was going to correct you, but I didn't want to embarrass you.
Go right ahead.
Didn't want to embarrass you. We have one game in Major League Baseball this afternoon, and that final score, let's see, I'll give you that in just a second. Final score was, from this afternoon, it was the Royals beat the Tigers 3-2. Got one game underway right now. Twins and Indians. Twins are on top 1-0. 888-898-2525. Want to join in on the program? South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter with our stream there if you lose us over the air. On YouTube, Sports Talk Media Network. On Facebook at Sports Talk Media Network. And on Twitter at SportsTalkSC. That's how you can locate us there. So Shane Beamer looked like a football coach yesterday, Chris. He had the headset on the sidelines. He was running up and down the field and conducting business and trying to show Gamecock fans that while he is excellent at building a behind-the-scenes image and lifting everybody's spirits up, that he can also direct the football team during a ball game. He got his really first chance to do that with eyeballs on him yesterday.
Well, he did, and actually, I don't know that we've mentioned it. It's irrelevant, but still, the Garnet team actually beat the Black team 14-10 yesterday. And following the spring game, Coach Beamer met with the media via Zoom and talked to, obviously, give us an overview of what he saw out on the field. It also broke down the running back position, which appeared to be the strength of the team, and, of course, could not get through a post-game presser without some comments on Luke Doty, in the quarterback position.
Appreciate everybody being here for this. Obviously, an awesome day to day. Want to thank our fans. I know we had a little bit of an adjustment going from Saturday to Sunday, but I had no doubt that Gamecock Nation would show up today, and so thankful for the crowd that we had. That was awesome. I know it's going to look great on television, and really appreciate those guys working with us through the change and showing up today as well. Obviously, the format was a little bit different for us today, primarily because of injuries. I mean, you guys saw, I think we had 23 players that didn't play today that would be normally playing if we in a game. 3 scholarship running backs out. We didn't know if JJ was going to play until really yesterday. So credit to him for coming out and having the kind of game that he had. But with that set up, or knowing that, we just couldn't divide into the 2 teams. So we broke it up very similar to the way we did our 2 scrimmages, offense, defense there in the first half. And then the second half, so to speak, was competition, which was good. And then again, a lot of those injuries are postseason surgeries, rehabs, things that we've already had. And then some of those things, they're just some bumps and bruises that have happened throughout spring practice. Special teams, just, we did that drill there at the end of the first quarter. We've to finish up the spring. That's something we've been doing all spring practice. We didn't do punt today as a full group. Coach Limbo, what he did on the punt team at Memphis is different than what I did at Oklahoma. So that's why we did what we did. But I was pleased overall. It was good to see the offense come out. I talked about it earlier in the week. That wanted us to be efficient offensively, being able to get in and out of the huddle, minimize the pre-snap penalties, and feel like we did a great job of doing that. It's good to see us run the ball. Zaquandre White and Jaheim Bell, we knew they were going to have the opportunity to have big days today with some of the injury situations we had at running back. So I'm really excited about those guys. Like I mentioned a minute ago, great to see JJ and those guys come out and make some plays. So overall, pleased. We got out of it fairly healthy for the most part. Had a couple of minor ankle injuries, but nothing long-term from that standpoint. So excited about the day overall. And now we go into the summer. Our guys have exams starting this week, so we got to finish up strong academically. They'll be gone. A lot of them will be gone in the month of May, and then we get back here June 1st for summer school. And this is a huge, huge summer for all of us. There's no doubt we've gotten better as a football team from January when we started the off-season program to now. We've gotten better, but still not good enough. We've got to take another step here this summer and then in the training camp. But excited about where we are right now and love this group. They're hungry. They work hard. They do everything that we ask. And like I mentioned the other day, I wish we had 15 more spring practices. 1, we need them, and 2, I'm having a blast coaching them. So with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Shane, you mentioned Zaquandre obviously getting a few more reps with Marshawn and Kevin not playing. Just what did you kind of see from him, and what did you kind of take away from his performance in a scrimmage environment anyway?
So fired up for him. That's the way he is every day in practice. That's the way he is every single workout. I've told the story that the very first walkthrough we had in the indoor back before we even started spring practice, we handed the ball off to him one time and he, went full speed down the sideline, ran 30 yards to the end zone in a walkthrough. He's always got a smile on his face. He's high energy. I love the way that he competes and the way that he runs the football. He is a weapon for us. He does a great job on special teams, and he's going to have a big time 2021 season. He with Kevin Harris and Marshawn Lloyd and Rashad Amos not playing today, he took advantage of that opportunity. There's no doubt about it. He's going to get a lot more carries because of it.
What was it that kind of led you guys to sort of move Jaheim around the way that you kind of were using him today? And obviously a lot of coaching staffs might hold something like that back in a spring game. What kind of led you guys to say, let's let it ride and kind of show it to the world?
Part of it was the 3 scholarship running backs standing on the sideline, not playing. So we had to hand the ball to somebody. You're right. To me, good. That gives East Carolina and Eastern Illinois and Kentucky and Georgia and our first 4 opponents something to work on, knowing that he can play tight end, he can carry the ball, he can do a lot. I mean, he's a guy that we offered a scholarship to when I was at Oklahoma, and took many trips to Valdosta, Georgia, trying to recruit him to Oklahoma. He took an official visit Oklahoma, but we also offered him as a linebacker at Oklahoma because we felt like he was that talented. And if Lincoln didn't want to use him on offense, and our defensive staff would have loved to have had him. So he's just a really good football player. And he knew he was going to get an opportunity. Today wasn't the first time that he's carried the ball. He's done it in some practices. And first time he carried the ball in spring practice, we ran a little counter play and he bounced it for an explosive touchdown run. So we knew he could do it and wanted to give him the opportunity to do it today as well. well, and he's at a good position. I mean, Nick Muse was the most outstanding player on offense for the spring for a reason, because Nick Muse at tight end had a great spring as well. But to have a guy like Jaheim in there that can do what he does at tight end as well is a great weapon for us also. I mean, I've said it before. I know everybody wants to utilize the tight end. I know Josh asked a question last week about the tight end. The more those guys can do, the better. We'll find ways to get them on the field.
Curious to know what you thought about the quarterback play today with, I guess, Luke and Jason in particular.
I thought they did a good job. I mean, I don't know how much you guys watched that 7-on-7 pass skill at the beginning of the spring game, but that wasn't very promising from an offensive standpoint. I'm not sure if we completed a ball in those 10 minutes, but I thought they did a great job. It was good to see Jason Brown and EJ hook up and continue that Virginia high school football connection and St. Francis, PA connection, converting on a couple throws. That was fun to see. It was key. I was pleased with the efficiency that we operated with offensively. I mean, it wasn't like we streamlined the game plan and only ran like 10 plays on offense. I mean, it was a full game plan like we would have in a game, and a great job by Sat of calling the play, the coaches on the sidelines getting it in and out, and then more importantly, the quarterbacks being able to execute. I think we had just very, very few, I think one delay a game penalty maybe in that red zone period, and that was more on me just talking to them while the play clock was running. So that was really good to see the efficiency of being able to call plays and execute the offense. And those guys all got opportunities and showed what they can do with their feet and throwing the football as well, sitting in the pocket. And Satch done a great job with those quarterbacks, just working on that.
Shane, specifically with the down the field stuff in the passing game, did you have more stuff called for Luke that he couldn't get to, or was that all the game plan? And how do you feel about him being able to push the ball down the field?
I have no concern with Luke at all. No, I mean, it wasn't like we had a game plan for Luke and a separate game plan for Connor and all that, or it wasn't like we said, do this with Luke, don't do this with Colton or whoever. No, man, it's just the way things were called, or, it's a pretty good defense those guys are going up against as well with a pretty good pass rush. And those guys have done a great job offensively all spring, but no, I have no concern at all with Luke. I mean, Luke's converted on plenty of deep balls. So, if that's your story, find another one, because Luke's I have no concerns at all about us being able to hit deep balls down the field for sure. And Luke being able to do things with his feet as well. With what he can do as an athlete.
All right, Shane Beamer. So, I mean, a little bit different attitude there about the down the field passing game from what we heard earlier in the spring, where a couple of different times in meeting with the media, he made the comments that he was concerned about the down the field passing game. He was concerned about the big play, the explosive play from the offense. So maybe it's gotten better. You didn't see it from Luke Doty on Saturday, I don't think. How many times did he take a shot down the field, Chris? Do you remember?
Gosh, maybe once. He only missed on 2 balls, and his longest throw was 19 yards that he completed. So, I mean, it wasn't a situation where he was dropping back and heaving it down the field 30, 40 yards just to see if they could hit a bomb down the right sideline. I thought, as I pointed out earlier, that was a fairly innocuous question by Josh Kendall, and I was kind of surprised at the reaction from Shane Beamer. Maybe it's more so Coach trying to instill some confidence in Luke Doty going into the offseason. I'm not sure. But, it was a legitimate question in my mind, because you're right, Phil, outside of can the wide receivers move the sticks themselves, the downfield passing is a major concern. I don't think any Gamecock fan would tell you otherwise.
Yeah. And, hey, Gamecock fans have heard this story before. I mean, they lived through it somewhat some last year with Colin Hill, and then Luke Doty and a little DeCarrion Joyner mixed in there as well. I mean, they really haven't had a consistent down the field passer since when Ryan Helinski was the starting quarterback and gave him that down the field option. I mean, I know Hill hit some last year, but not all that many that I recall, and not with great regularity. So, again, this may be an offense that's going to rely heavily on the running game, and why wouldn't you when you've got apparently 3 guys behind what should be a pretty decent offensive line, but they're going to be blocking 6 and 7 in the box probably, and defenses are going to line up and probably press the Gamecocks receivers coming off the line and say, all right, let's see if you can beat us with the run, because we don't think you can move the ball through the air with great consistency down the field against us.
And I think that's a fair way to approach this team if you're a defensive coordinator trying to scheme against South Carolina. The one thing, though, that we don't know, how good is and how much improved is Dakereon Joyner. Caught 3 balls yesterday, nothing spectacular, but he was the leading receiver, if you will, in the spring game. And they raved about him throughout spring practice, how much his development has come along. As I mentioned earlier, he was co-MVP along with Nick Muse. I think you can rely on the tight ends, but if Dakereon Joyner becomes that sort of X factor at the wide receiving position, maybe they're not in as bad a shape as we perceive they might be coming out of spring practice.
All right, let's give you the recruiting report tonight here on Sports Talk. As we approach the top of the hour, recruiting report is brought to you by our good friends at Seawells. We recommend them highly, of course, for their daily lunch buffet, and also, of course, the very best in the catering business is Seawells. Their phone number, 803-771-7385, and their website, SeawellsCateringSC.com. You can check out all the menu options there. The luncheon buffet tomorrow will be 11 till 2. It's every day, Monday through Friday, 11 to 2, and it's always delicious and very, very safe and set up for you very nicely to follow all the DHEC regulations. That's Seawells on Rosewood Drive in Columbia, across from the State Fairgrounds. South Carolina is in the mix with Washington State transfer safety Tyrese Ross. USC is among the few schools he's considering after entering the transfer portal. North Carolina, Rutgers, SMU, and UCF are some others who have been in touch with Ross. They seem to have his attention. The Gamecocks and Ross first connected about a month ago with secondary coach Torian Gray and the rest of the defensive staff holding a group conversation with him. He was impressed by the fact that all the coaches got on the line with him, and he's regarded as a hard-hitting safety. He only played in one game this past season, recording 2 tackles against Oregon. In 19, he played in all 13 games, had 33 tackles, forced a fumble. The coaches have told him how much they like his aggressiveness, his physical style, a DJ Swearinger type of safety, a Stephon Gilmore type of player. Wow. And they're telling him they want more of that in their secondary. Who wouldn't? And he is certainly considering them. A connection is that Gamecock outside linebackers coach Mike Peterson played with Ross's uncle in the NFL. He also has a tie to North Carolina. His brother Dominique plays for the Tar Heels. The recruiting process is heating up once again. He wants to determine his new spot within the next few weeks and take a few visits. He expects the Gamecocks to receive one of those visits, and he's hoping to make a decision in May. He'll have 3 years of eligibility. Basketball for a moment. USC, and we told you back around Masters time about the interest. 5'11" Zaire Wade of Chicago, and from Brewster Academy in New Hampshire, his interest in South Carolina. That's Dwayne Wade's son. And, of course, his teammate up at Brewster is the son of Anthony Carter. He and Anthony Carter, Dwayne Wade, they're close. And Devin Carter, Zaire Wade, they're close. So Zaire Wade and South Carolina have been talking a good bit. And talking to his coach last week up at Brewster Academy, he tells us that this is Jason Smith. Not sure what Wade's timeline is. He's gone home to finish up his classwork online, and Wade hasn't really said a whole lot about his recruiting, but Smith said that South Carolina is strongly involved. It's because of Frank Martin, and they like the type of coach that Frank Martin has been, his relationships with his players, current and past, and he says he knows that they've communicated quite a bit. And, of course, he's got Devin Carter in his ear, but he said that Carter, he wants the best for Wade, and wherever Wade feels the happiest is where he'll want him to go. But no doubt they've talked about, they were roommates at Brewster, so no doubt they've talked about going to the same place. Wade is ranked number 32 combo guard nationally, and he's very athletic, 6'3" guard, according to his coach. Now some other notes. USC quarterback target Braden Davis told 24/7 Sports Sunday at an Elite 11 competition in Pennsylvania he hopes to make a decision by the end of this month. He's had a top 7 of USC, Stanford, Georgia Tech, NC State, Duke, West Virginia, and Cincinnati. Defensive end Tomiwa Durajai of Middletown, Delaware, was at USC for the spring game Sunday, part of a trip that he's been on that's included stops at Duke, NC State, Georgia Tech, and Virginia. Dutch Fork receiver Antonio Williams and Spring Valley safety DeQuandre Smith, and also Chester athlete Zan Dunham. They all confirmed that they, too, were at South Carolina's spring game on Sunday. USC target offensive tackle Ryan Brubaker was at Ole Miss for their spring game Saturday. Defensive tackle Felix Hickson of Jackson, Georgia, set officials with USC June 7th, Illinois June 11th. USC target running back Jalen Glover was offered by Iowa. USC offered 2023 running back Dalen Smothers of Charlotte. And Clemson offered in basketball 6'4" Emmanuel Sharp of Tampa, four-star prospect number 8 shooting guard nationally in his class. Top of the hour, we'll be back.
Local in the morning, afternoon, and evening. Columbia's local talk radio experience. 107 The Point.
Make thepointradio.com.
The Point. The Point.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters. California authorities disclosed the first reported case of a man developing a rare blood clot after receiving the Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
Officials at the University of California, San Francisco say a man in his 30s developed a rare blood clot in his legs 13 days after receiving the Johnson & Johnson single-shot COVID-19 vaccine. The man was admitted April 21st, complaining of escalating pain in his lower back and leg. Although initial imaging did not show the blood clot, blood work did show the man had the same syndrome as 13 other patients across the U.S., all women, who also received the J&J vaccine. 3 of the women died. 7 remain hospitalized. U.S. health officials lifted a pause on the J&J vaccine Friday after scientific advisors decided the benefits outweigh the rare blood clot risk. I'm Mike Gracia.
The White House says the vast majority of Americans will not be affected by President Biden's soon-to-be-announced capital gains tax increase.
The president is planning to propose nearly doubling taxes on capital gains to almost 40% for people earning more than $1 million. And his top economic aide, Brian Deese, says that will affect only 0.3% of U.S. households.
That's about 500,000 households in the country that we're talking about.
The White House says the president wants to use the tax increases to pay for his American Families Plan proposal. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Organizers of the recall effort against California Governor Gavin Newsom collected enough valid signatures to qualify for the ballot. The California Secretary of State's office announced that more than 1.6 million signatures have been verified, about 100,000 more than needed to force a vote on the first-term Democrat. An election is likely in the fall where voters would face 2 questions. Should Newsom be recalled, and who should replace him? On Wall Street, the Dow down by 61 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Tell me why Relief Factor is so successful in lowering or eliminating pain. I'm often asked that question. Pete and Seth Talbot, the father and son founders of Relief Factor, tell me they believe our bodies were designed to heal. The doctors who formulated Relief Factor selected the 4 best ingredients, 100% drug-free ingredients that each help your body deal with inflammation. Order the 3-week quick start now. Discount it to only $19.95 to see if it will work for you too. Call 800-500-8384. ReliefFactor.com.
Hi, I'm Karen, owner of Lone Star Transfer. It's time to do some spring cleaning. And if you're an unhappy timeshare owner, start your cleaning today. We will get you out of your unused timeshare quickly. We've been helping people just like you for over a decade. We have over 600 excellent reviews with the BBB. Lone Star Transfer guarantees a release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. For a free consultation, call 844-284-4860 or LoneStarTransfer.com.
Staggering numbers of Indian families deal with death and serious illness from the coronavirus. Social media have become a catalog of frantic people searching for oxygen cylinders, hospital beds, ambulances, and critical drugs.
The SOS messages reveal the extent of panic in a country where infections are at their peak, aided and enabled by political dysfunction and widespread disregard for social distancing and mask wearing. The situation remains particularly grim in unbearably full hospitals, where doctors scramble to expand critical care units and stock up on dwindling supplies of oxygen. For the fifth straight day, India has set a global daily record for new infections. That surge is undermining the government's premature claims of victory over the pandemic. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Clear and cool tonight with low dipping to 52. Tomorrow, the warm-up continues with mostly sunny skies at a high of 86. Wednesday, it's 88 as a high. And by Thursday, we're looking at sunshine and a chance to hit 90. The next rain in our forecast won't arrive until Friday. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather. WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. Come on, hit it. Do it. You know you want to.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody, into hour number 2 of Sports Talk on this Monday night. It's Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery, lucky number here on Sports Talk. If you want to join us, been talking about the South Carolina spring game and your thoughts on that. Bergie was there yesterday, and we've been talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly of the South Carolina spring game. A couple of other quick notes that we did not get to. Clemson running back Ches Malusi is in the portal, in the transfer portal, apparently as of today. So he is leaving the Clemson program. Here's a guy that in his 2 years at Clemson had 71 carries, 427 yards, scored 6 touchdowns. So just couldn't find any playing time in his first 2 years. Obviously, when you've got ETN, going to be a first-round draft pick in all likelihood, and then you had Lynn J. Dixon as his very capable backup, and then, of course, you had running quarterbacks, and you had a great passing game. Wasn't any room for anybody else. And I guess this spring, same kind of deal for him. Lynn J. Dixon's emerged as the top guy. Kobe Pace looked very good in the spring as well. And so there's just not for a crowded running back room, there's not a lot of room to carry the football. So we've seen Bowman up and leave. And I think that one hurts because Bowman was going to be a special running back for them. I don't think there's any question about it. He's going to go to Florida and probably have an outstanding career there. He was going to be that next, I think, really, really special running back at Clemson. Losing him so early, he didn't really give it a chance because he didn't want to wait. Of course, I mean, he ended up not playing in 2020. Had he waited, he could have been the guy coming out of this spring at Clemson had he waited. He could have, I would imagine he would have beaten out Lynn J. Dixon for the top job, in my opinion, from what I'd seen. Though I think Lynn J. Dixon is right now he's a quality running back. Is he a elite running back? I don't know that he's an elite running back. We've never really seen him have to carry the load, to be honest with you. And so that running back room at Clemson is still kind of crowded, but they lose one there. I'm a little surprised Mikey Dukes is still with them, to be honest with you, Chris, because, this was a kid that was, one of the better running backs in South Carolina out of First Baptist when he goes to Clemson, and he knew going to Clemson that it was going to be a load in that running back room, and it was going to be hard to find playing time. Yet he's hung in there with them. So,
and he should be credited for that too, Phil, because you just talked about Bowman not really giving Clemson an opportunity because he felt like, well, I didn't get any playing time this year. And who was going to play over Travis Etienne? He's one of the best running backs we've seen come through college in many, many years. You weren't going to play over him. But you go into the spring, maybe you start to contend and get an opportunity to showcase your wares this coming fall. But that's the difference I think we're seeing. The NCAA and especially the transfer portal have made it so easy now to just pick up your toys and go somewhere else. I think Michael Dukes is to be credited for sticking it out. Yeah, maybe he's not going to have the career he had hoped, but he made a commitment to Clemson, and it looks like he wants to follow it all the way through graduation. And I think, unfortunately, he is going to become the exception to the rule, not the rule, I think, moving forward.
Yeah. Same thing with the Kerryon Joyner at South Carolina. I think that's one reason why his teammates revere him so highly is because he could have opted out and gone somewhere else, but he has, and especially when it became evident he wasn't going to be a quarterback. And, when he was at Fort Dorchester and he was being recruited, he was like, if you're not recruiting me for quarterback, don't recruit me. I mean, I'm a quarterback. That's all I'm going to be. That's all I want to be in college. And I guess, he realized after that one opportunity to play some quarterback that he wasn't going to make it in the SEC as quarterback. And it's a very smart move on his part in terms of his future football career to move to wide receiver or maybe safety had he done that. And they moved him to wide receiver. He's a dangerous athlete, Chris. You got to get the ball in his hands in a variety of ways and let his true athletic talents come into play here and let him make some big plays for you.
Well, as we touched on in the opening hour, he was named co-offensive player of the spring. He was also the special teams player of the spring for the Gamecocks and won the offense's GPA award. So he's an all-around athlete and all-around student. But I think you're right. I think he could be the guy that South Carolina needs to help, hopefully for them, stretch the field a little bit. And he had a pretty decent game yesterday. Nobody had anything fancy outside of maybe White and his running ability. But, yeah, to Kerryon Joyner, much like Michael Dukes, two kids from our state who went to state institutions and want to finish what they started. I think they're both to be commended for that.
What did you think of the crowd yesterday? Were they pretty supportive?
They were. It's funny, especially in when you watch a spring game and it's not nearly as big a crowd as they normally would get for a home game. Of course, the team comes out to 2001, and the atmosphere is not anywhere close to what you're used to seeing during the fall season. But I think they got into it. It was a really nice day. Carolina could not have scripted a better day yesterday. I checked the thermostat right before, temperature outside right before kickoff was 72 degrees. You get a 72-degree day in Columbia for football, nobody's going to complain. I think they were into it and enjoyed, obviously clapped when scores came through in the whole 9 yards, but I think they enjoyed what they saw, and they were very supportive. And right under the number, they were going to allow 15 in, got just north of 13,000. I think if you're Shane Beamer, you had to be thrilled with the amount of people that showed up yesterday. And they actually had two separate pods of fans, one in the east upper deck, all the way at the top, sitting under the shade of the lights that illuminate the stadium, and then also in the, I guess it was the south end zone, similar circumstance, all the way to the top of the upper deck, sitting under the lights to get some shade. So it reminded me of those, and I'm going to show my age here, those old Bob Uecker Miller Lite commercials where I must be in the front row. They definitely were as far from the front row as possible. But it was a good turnout, I think, and USC did a really nice job with the spring game yesterday for sure.
All right, 888-898-2525. Have a few other recruiting notes. In fact, remember we just talked about Braden Davis. Well, during the top of the hour break, he tweeted out that he's going to announce on Friday at 6 o'clock. So on his Instagram. So this will be big for South Carolina. South Carolina, Stanford, Georgia Tech, NC State, Duke, West Virginia, and Cincinnati. He recently visited South Carolina on his own. He also went to Georgia Tech on that visit. He also went to NC State and Duke. I think he's been to Stanford, and I think he's been to all these schools at one time or another. And this is the guy that South Carolina right now has targeted as their number one quarterback prospect in the 22 class after they had their quarterback tucked away in Gunnar Stockton. Then he decommitted in January and committed to Georgia. They looked at a few others, took a swing at some others and missed. Braden Davis, this was a guy that Clemson offered. And we know how Clemson is when it comes to offering quarterbacks. They're very, very selective. They offered him, but they never really pursued him, to be quite honest with you. They turned their attention more towards the kid in Tennessee who ended up at Alabama, and the kid they got, Klubnik, out of Texas. So they're happy with the guy they got. this would be a very, very big pickup for South Carolina. He's a 4-star. I think he is ranked like the number 6 dual threat quarterback in the class. So this would be, at least on paper, a very talented quarterback. He's got friends at South Carolina. He's, from Delaware. He went down to Florida last year to play in Clermont, Florida, and he suffered a bad ankle injury, high ankle sprain maybe, or some kind of an ankle injury in his 3rd game. He didn't play anymore. Went back home to Delaware, where he will play this season. But he is friendly with Marshawn Lloyd, and he's friendly with Debo Williams at South Carolina. So we'll see what happens here. This would be a tremendous pickup for South Carolina if they can reel him in. All right, a few other notes that I could not get to. Hammond running back C.J. Stokes picked up offers West Virginia and Colorado. He's now got officials with Vanderbilt June the 4th, Missouri June the 11th, Michigan June 18th. And Oceanside Collegiate wide receiver Bryce Throckmorton. You know the Throckmortons, don't you?
I do. Very familiar with them.
The Throckmortons.
That's a great last name, isn't it?
The Throckmortons. He committed to Charleston Southern. Safety Randy Caldwell of Malden plans an unofficial visit to Clemson June 1st. And Hammond offensive tackle Drew Bobo plans to visit Georgia on June the 1st.
Phil, I've got a question about SCISA recruiting, and as the unquestioned guru of recruiting.
Oh, it's questionable. It's questionable.
How much do you believe colleges have changed their narrative on private schools and recruiting kids out of private schools over the last, say, 10, 15 years? I remember when Gaines Adams, many, many years ago, playing at, 8-man football up in Greenwood, if memory serves.
Yep.
And Clemson got him. And there was tons of talk about there's no way he can play in the ACC. He never faced that kind of competition in high school. And so I'm just curious, how much do you believe that has changed over the last, especially with the success of a program like Hammond, and where colleges are now looking, hey, if you can play regardless of your competition level.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, the colleges are going to recruit the best players no matter where they're playing, SCISA or high school league. They're going to go after him. So, Jordan Birch, who was from Florence, ends up going to Hammond. They would have recruited him out of Wilson had he stayed at Wilson. He ends up at Hammond. They recruit him there. Just like Zion Williamson. Poor Wilson. Wilson's had so many good players up and leave. You know that. Had he stayed at Wilson, they would have recruited him out of Wilson. He goes up to Spartanburg Day. They recruit him out of Spartanburg Day. Porter Goud has had a lot of big-time basketball players who are in the NBA right now come out of that program. So I just think it doesn't matter to these colleges whether you're high school league, if you're the super talented type. I mean, now, look, we all know the depth of talent in SCISA at the high school level is not what it is at the high school, in the high school league. I mean, Hammond has had such a great program, and they've had a nice run of talent run through there. You've got C.J. Stokes there this year. Bobo will be leaving Hammond at the end of the school year to go to Auburn High School in Alabama, where his family's going to be. But they have others. They have a nice run of talent going through that program, and they pretty much dominate SCISA, high-level SCISA football in South Carolina. But I mean, there's no other team in the state that can match them in terms of their flow of talent. First Baptist a couple of years ago had Mikey Dukes, who ended up at Clemson. And, there's been one here or there. The defensive end from Sumter who signed with Florida, he was this past year. He was originally out of Lawrence Manning Academy. So they have their players here and there. They just don't have the great depth. But the colleges are going to recruit you if you're good enough. They're going to recruit you whether you're in SCISA or you're in the high school league if you show those individual skills. As far as the Davis kid goes, I feel good about South Carolina's chances here because he's always been receptive to phone calls, and he's always spoken highly of South Carolina. He sees an opportunity there, and he's got ties there with his friends. But, again, I know the NC State's made a strong push, as has Duke and probably Georgia Tech as well. And, Stanford, if you're a kid who's big into the academic side of things, and he wants to be.
Turn them down.
Yeah, he wants to be, I think he told me he wants to study engineering or something like that, But that is all the way out on the West Coast. So we'll see. That'll be a big announcement for South Carolina's future. I mean, look, there's other 2022 quarterbacks you can go after, but you're starting to check those boxes of players on your board now. You don't want to go too far down your board. As you go lower, you start really, the quality starts to drop just a little bit. 888-898-2525 is our number here on Sports Talk. HR DMs me. He wants to talk softball. Clemson softball. They are doing great in softball, aren't they, Chris?
Yes, they are. They're doing tremendous, and got another weekend sweep if memory serves. So, yeah, Clemson softball is playing as well as their golf team played today, and they've done in a short period of time. The Tigers have developed a powerhouse in softball.
2 years. This is just their second year, right?
Yes, it is.
Getting her done. We're going to hear some more Shane Beamer coming up after the break here on Sports Talk. We'll be right back.
The lady in black doesn't age. She just gets tougher. And Throwback Weekend is when she likes to remind all the friends, families, drivers, and dreamers just how they got here. Business up front and parties in the back. Over 70 years of history held together with one famous black stripe. Too tough to tame? I guess you'll have to find out. Darlington Throwback Weekend, May 7th through 9th. Get your tickets at darlingtonraceway.com.
South Carolina, just right.
The Southeastern Institute of Manufacturing and Technology at Florence Darlington Technical College specializes in sophisticated manufacturing services and workforce development training. The SIMT offers rapid prototyping, additive manufacturing, advanced machining, and business incubation services to clients from across the state and nation, plus social media listening services and rentals of conferencing and training spaces. The SIMT also houses an 800-seat auditorium, a conference center that can seat more than 1,200 for dinner or a luncheon, and numerous classroom spaces with state-of-the-art presentation technologies. Visit our website at simt.com or call 866-304-7468 for more information. The SIMT, technology to grow your business.
Founders is offering a low-rate mortgage with up to $4,000 in closing costs to full-time hospital employees, honoring your frontline efforts against COVID-19. With no PMI, no origination fee, and no limit on the loan amount, you can't go wrong. Visit founders.com/HEC and apply for your hospital employee choice mortgage today. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply. Institution NMLS identifier number 410646. Founders is an equal housing lender and is federally insured by the NCUA.
Stay tuned. More Sports Talk is coming up on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Welcome to Tiny Stories with me, Tina Tiny. Today we're with Dirk, a didgeridoo artist.
Sorry, just warming up my lips.
So glad we're wearing masks.
I won $4 on Powerball, invested it all to crowdfund my first album.
Wow, a whole album of that.
I'm calling it Didgeridoo-Da-Day.
You're freaking me out, Dirk.
This one's for you, Tina.
And that's all from the South Carolina Education Lottery. Tell your tiny story at tellyourtinystory.com.
Looking for the perfect golf retreat? Championship courses at an affordable rate? Look at Clarkson and Restaurant in Santee, South Carolina, located minutes from 3 championship courses. Clarkson offers customized, affordable golf packages, relaxing rooms, and great food. Visit clarksonandrestaurant.com to plan your golf retreat. clarksonandrestaurant.com, easy to find, hard to leave.
Hi, this is Phil Kornblut of Sports Talk here with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. What words of wisdom do you have for those hitting the water this summer?
Phil, collisions can be prevented easily if every vessel operator fulfills 3 major responsibilities. 1, practice good seamanship. It's the responsibility of every boat or PWC operator to take all necessary action to avoid a collision. 2, keep a proper lookout. Failing to keep a sharp lookout is the most common cause of boating collisions. And finally, maintain a safe speed. Remember, boat safe, Boat smart.
The future of golf is waiting for you at the Players Club. Rain, shine, or after dark, you can enjoy the game of golf anytime at Columbia's Indoor Country Club. The Players Club delivers the most realistic golf experience and offers more than 90 championship courses. Play or practice with the same state-of-the-art full-swing simulators used by Tiger Woods and Jordan Spieth. Visit MainCourseSC.com to book a bay and become a player today at the Players Club, part of the Main Course, 1626 Main Street in Columbia.
Hey, I was in the People's Republic of Charleston over the weekend. Yeah, that's a beautiful place to be, but further up the coast, you've got other beautiful spots as well. And we're talking about Pawleys, and we're talking about Litchfield and Garden City. And if you want to hunker down for a weekend or a week, maybe a month, maybe longer, you know who to call. That's right, Jimmy Smith at James Smith Realty, 843-237-4246. Visit PawleysVacationRentals.com. Beautiful time of the year to be along the coast. Beautiful place to be. And he can handle properties all around that area of the coast of South Carolina. If you want to buy property, he can help you with that as well. His people are selling stuff all the time. 843-237-4246 for your perfect beach getaway. Don't delay, because people are snapping up those properties and tying them up for the summer months to come. You better get your spot now. 843-237-4246. I mean, now Bergey's already got his spot through James Smith Realty. I don't know if he'll take on any strangers to come stay with him during your time down there. You got any extra room?
I don't, because we've rented a 4-bedroom, a brand new house that just opened in Pawleys that they were able to rent out. So we were fortunate to get it. It's an entire family vacation. I've got my parents, my sister and brother-in-law and their kids, my wife and I, and then my uncle. So yeah, you might have to sleep on the floor if you want to come hang out with us. But heck, you go right there on the beach. Let's go sleep on the beach at Pawleys.
Oh man, you taking Finn with you?
We cannot.
What?
We're going to have to board him for the first time. Yeah, this house, I guess because of its new nature, is not pet friendly as of right now. So unfortunately, we're going to have to board him for the first time. And boy, is he going to be angry.
How the parents going to handle that? The parents going to have a little separation anxiety. Newberry is playing for the South Atlantic Conference Baseball Championship, won their way into this. They're playing in Tennessee, hosted by Carson Newman. They're playing Wingate for the championship right now. It's 6-3 Wingate, top of the 6th. Newberry was down 5-0 after 2. Scored a run in the 4th, as did Wingate, and then Newberry scored 2 in the 5th. Excuse me. 6-3 Wolves are trailing Wingate at this point. Also want to mention College of Charleston is running away with the CAA Men's Golf Championship, and they have won the stroke play. This is being played at Dataw Island, the Cotton Dyke course. I'd love to play that course, never have. And I guess, are they going to play all these tournaments? I don't know if they're all playing match play after they do stroke play. College of Charleston's 19 under after, no, I'm sorry, they've played 2 rounds. Thought they'd played 3. After 2 rounds, Charleston has 19 under par. Drexel is -2, so a big 17-shot lead for the College of Charleston. So they're in very good shape at this point in their tournament. And we've got the Sunbelt tournament in El Dorado, Arkansas. Little Rock +23 leads. Georgia Southern's +25, and Coastal is in 7th at +36. They played two rounds there. So Coastal is 13 shots back. All right, we're going to hear from Shane Beamer coming up after the break here on Sports Talk. And we're going to go to where are we going next? It is. He threatened to call. It's HR. It's HR out there in the hinterland somewhere. Welcome in, sir. How are you?
Dude, I'm in Beaufort because I've been shrimping all day.
Ooh.
What
How'd you do?
doing?
How'd you do casting the nets?
I caught 8 pounds.
Nice.
So,
any big
yeah.
ones? Any big ones?
Oh, I would say they're all the type you would look at and go, man, that's a good shrimp.
That's a good shrimp.
I mean, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, are you following?
I'm with you.
I mean, if you look at it, they go, yeah, that's a good shrimp.
That's a good shrimp.
Let me tell you what I did yesterday. I went to Clemson because I've got season baseball tickets. But you know how you can park right between the two stadiums?
Mm-hmm.
So I went to my first ever softball game. That's the most awesome sport you could ever watch. And I'm not being some bandwagon fan like South Carolina basketball fans are just because, you know, the women are winning. So, yay, let's jump on the bandwagon. No, it's really cool to watch. So I got to see both Clemson baseball wins, and then I jumped on the bandwagon, and then I got to see the Clemson girls softball win. And I will say that, Phil, you're like me. You're a man's man. But women's softball is fun to watch.
Mm.
I mean, it really is. I'm not going to knock it. They are fast. It plays fast as crap, which is awesome. Like, I mean, you've been to a soccer game. You know how slow it is.
I never really have. I haven't been to a soccer game in a long time. Hang on, HR, if you want to. Count your shrimp. Go ahead and start counting your shrimp and putting them in the bags, and we'll come back to you if you want to hang after the break. And then some Shane Beamer coming up, too.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Clear and cool tonight with low dipping to 52. Tomorrow, the warm-up continues with mostly sunny skies at a high of 86. Wednesday, it's 88 as a high. And by Thursday, we're looking at sunshine and a chance to hit 90. The next rain in our forecast won't arrive until Friday. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
Hi, this is Jennifer Coolidge. The American Heart Association says the disco song Stayin' Alive is the near-perfect feat for hands-only CPR. If you see a teen or adult collapse from cardiac arrest, you only need 2 steps to help save a life. Call 911 and push hard and fast in the center of the chest to the beat of the song Stayin' Alive. Disco is back and it's saving lives. To learn more, go to heart.org/hands-only-CPR.
Nationally supported by the Wellpoint Foundation.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Torrid growth in Texas over the past decade is paying off with a major boost in political clout. 2 additional congressional seats and electoral votes, deepening its already massive influence in the nation's politics. New U.S. Census Bureau figures released Monday confirm the relentless population boom in America's biggest red state. Since 2010, Texas has gained nearly 4 million residents, more than any other state in sheer numbers. For perspective, that's roughly the entire population of neighboring Oklahoma. It's now home to more than 29 million people, second in population only to California, which has nearly 40 million. California, by contrast, will lose a congressional seat. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 61 points, but the Nasdaq rose 121. More details at srnnews.com.
What's this truck pulling up in our driveway?
It's the folks from Dominion Energy. They're here to recycle our old fridge in the garage.
Why?
Because it's just sitting there wasting energy, and we can use the extra space, not to mention the extra cash.
Extra cash?
Yes, we get $50 cash and pickup is free.
Sounds too good to be true.
See for yourself at DominionEnergySC.com.
Where?
DominionEnergySC.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
One thing you hear on The Point all day long, it's be intentional. You hear it from our local and national hosts, and I practice what I preach. So when it comes to my biggest financial investment, my home, well, I'm pretty intentional. I had Allstate Seamless Gutter come out, and they fixed me up. Think about this. You spend between, $800, $1,500 on gutters for your house? That's an intentional investment. It protects your home against so many things that can cost thousands. and thousands of dollars later on. Things like mold damage or foundation repairs. And while we're talking about being intentional, when Doug and his team came out, did the job on my home, well, we partnered up to help save you some money. If you call 833-5GUTTER, tell them you want that point discount, that's 40% off your gutters. Make an intentional decision about your home. Protect your biggest financial investment. They do great work. And you know, I won't endorse Allstate Seamless Gutter if I didn't have them come out and do the work on my own home. Peace of mind and new gutters at a great price. That's being intentional. Allstate Seamless Gutter, 833-5GUTTER. That's 833-5GUTTER.
Hi, this is Marcia Kleiman.
And I'm Karen Pickard. We're your hosts for The Positive Point on Aging.
We'll talk about aging gracefully and senior care every Tuesday morning from 8:30 to 9 o'clock a.m.
Join us right here on The Point for The Positive Point on Aging.
Brought to you by Oakley Village of Lexington.
Have you fallen behind on your taxes and might be facing IRS penalties? Have wage garnishments, levies, or liens? Have unfiled tax returns? You want someone local and qualified. Don't fall for those national spots. Meet with me, Teresa, at Capital City Professional Services, and let me help you through your tax maze. I can help with all your tax resolution issues. There are options to get you back on track. Call Capital City Professional Services, 400-8683. That's 400-8683.
Leandro goes shotgun ETN to his left-hand side. And they're going to play action. Look into the end zone. Touchdown, Davis Allen.
Hey, Tiger fans, it's time to reserve your 2021 Clemson football season tickets and come back home to Clemson. For details and more information, please visit ClemsonTigers.com/football tickets. The season ticket request deadline is April 30th, so be sure and act soon and see your Tigers in the Valley this fall. Come back home to Clemson.
Weekdays from 7 to 9 on The Point. It's Kev and Brian in the morning. The news, the traffic 4 times an hour, and your daily forecast. Topics to wake you up, topics to make you smile and laugh. Hope you'll join us.
The Point.
All right, I want to mention something. I meant to mention this earlier. And, you know, I don't talk a whole lot personal stuff because you don't care about what happens to me, and I get that. I just wanted to mention this because this is kind of a public service announcement. But today, when I got back from the People's Republic of Charleston, you know, I'd gotten my first vaccine shot earlier this month, so I was due for my second. And I'd gotten it at Gamecock Park over there where you could get the Pfizer vaccine is what I got, and it was done by the hospital.
Prisma Health.
Prisma, yeah, right. Prisma, thank you. And so that's where I went back to today. I'm only saying this because I went there at 2:00. There was nobody there in line.
Really?
Yes. So my point is, if you are a person who needs the second one and you're ready for it and you're looking for the Pfizer vaccine, Gamecock Park was excellent. The people were excellent. The National Guard's people, the volunteers, they were excellent. And I'm only saying this because I'm just alerting you that there was no wait. I drove right through. You know, they give you the cards. They give you the papers to fill out. As soon as I filled those out, drove right up to the shot bay. Nice nurse, you know, gave me the shot and I was done. Waited my 15 minutes and that was that. So I'm only saying that because if you are going to get your second one and you're due for it, that would be a great place to go because at least today it was not backed up at all. So just throwing that out there as a public service announcement. I mean, I know you don't care if I survive the COVID or not. That's not high up on your list of concerns. Is it HR? I'm sure HR is like, shut up already and let's talk about my shrimp.
Are you there?
Right here.
You know, I'm not going to take the virus. I'm a man, so I'm glad you took it because obviously you're not. But no, softball is actually fun to watch, but I actually called you for a reason.
Well, I want to say one thing, though. I want to say that in defense of South Carolina women's basketball fans, they love their South Carolina women's basketball team as much as you now love the Clemson softball team. And they're as passionate about that. And they find that game to be as much fun as you find the Clemson women's softball team to be.
But yes, but between the baseball stadium and the softball stadium, you can have a tailgate between both games, so it's actually fun.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, you're always looking for a party. You're one of those types. Like you said, you're a man's man, and you're always looking for a party.
Well, yeah. But
by the way, you'll like this. You'll like this. I guess
far away.
This company has become a sponsor at South Carolina because I'm seeing their name pop up at the baseball stadium and the football stadium. But Manscaped is a sponsor over there now. So I'm just pointing it out to you, HR, that University of South Carolina has a sponsor now. Manscaped is a sponsor for those who need that kind of stuff.
All right, recruiting question. You ready?
Go right ahead.
Peyton Page, where's he going?
Oh, I don't know. Peyton Page. You mean Travis Shaw? You mean Travis Shaw?
No, I mean the guy up in Greensboro. You know what I'm talking. You got me, Travis Shaw.
Travis
I'm sorry.
Shaw, yeah.
I messed up.
You trying to pull a fast one on the Guru? You know
what I said.
You're suffering from shrimp overdose. You got too much shrimp in your blood.
I've been on the water for 18 hours.
How many beers have you had? How many beers? Did you have more beers than shrimp that you caught?
I had more beers than shrimp.
I have no doubt about that. I have no doubt about
Where's the big defensive tackle from Greensboro?
That's Travis Shaw. Yeah, you've already got.
Where's he going to play college football?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, I've never talked to the kid. I haven't seen one definitive piece of information at this point about what he's going to do. I know Clemson's going to be in the mix. It seems. I think North Carolina is going to be heavily in the mix. The usual contenders, Georgia will be in the mix. Probably Alabama will throw its hat in the ring there strongly as well. I don't know that there's any kind of a rush. I don't think he's in a rush to judgment here this summer. Sounds like this is one that's going to play out through the fall season and beyond.
Who is recruiting him from Clemson?
I imagine the whole defensive staff. Venables and
go ahead and look it.
Oh, it's
go ahead and look it up.
Oh, are you
done?
Are you saying this with knowledge, or you're saying this with hope?
I'm saying if Todd Bates and Brent Venables is on the fire and he can get to Clemson for a cookout with Mama involved, and if we have to call New Spring, go ahead and lock that down.
That's you saying that, Tiger Man. That's you saying that. All right, thank you. We're going to let you get back to counting your shrimp, and I'll take a package, and I like them large. I like the large shrimp for my shrimp cocktail. All right, thank you very much.
Be good, Sweet Pea.
You got it. Enjoy your run to a softball championship up there at Clemson.
They're going to get a conference title. There's no question.
Oh, my God. Yeah, they're way out
without
in front.
doubt. I like that guy. Anybody who can drive from Clemson all the way to Buford and then spend 18 hours on the water, HR is the man.
He's a man's man. He's a man's man. 7-3, Wingate put in a run on in the sixth inning. So they're up 7-3 on Newberry, SAC championship. We go to Sam in Charleston. Hey, Sam, I was just in your backyard. How are you?
Good. How you doing, sir?
Doing fine.
Hey, I just heard that the recruiting class, how's that going?
For who?
The Gamecocks.
Well, you mean their football recruiting class for 2022?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions for you. I was listening to Shane Beamer's press conference last night.
Uh-huh.
Did he mention about who set the QBs for the fall? And two is, are they going to have the Gamecock logs for the fall?
What was your first question?
It's the, are we seeing fans in the stands for fall?
Oh, fans in the stands. Well, let me go back to the recruiting question. Thank you for your call, Sam. So the Gamecocks have 2 commitments so far for the 22 class. Anthony Rose, a safety out of Florida, and Grayson Maines, a tackle out of Sewanee, Georgia. So there's just now starting to kind of piece it together. They got some guys they're in pretty good shape with. This defensive end who visited over the weekend from Delaware, I think they might have a good shot there. We talked about Davis, the quarterback, good shot there. Some in-state guys as well, a good shot with them. So more will be falling their way here, as time goes on. June, when a lot of these official visits are going to take place, they've got some big weekends planned for official visits, so they'll start to have some things happening then. There will be fans in the stands, probably at this point, going to have a full house, Though I did have the lady tell me today who handed me my papers and started, I think she might have been a nurse or something, but she was saying she's concerned not enough South Carolinians are getting their vaccines, and she's concerned about the variants and people not getting the vaccine, being susceptible to that, and could have a whole new wave of this stuff. I'm not lecturing. I'm just telling you what she told me. I said, hey, give me my second stick. I'm ready for it. And then hopefully there won't be a third. It'd be nice if we can get by without a third. And then the other question was,
I think he was asking Phil about did Shane Beamer make a decision on the starting quarterback going into the fall, if I heard him correctly.
Was that the question?
He did say Luke Doty would be the starter coming out of spring.
Yeah.
That's as far as he went. He said Doty's still got a lot of work to do. He's still got to progress. But as of right now, if Carolina played a football game Saturday, Luke Doty would be the starting quarterback.
Well, let's hear it from Shane Beamer himself. You want to take us into that, Chris?
Well, the second part of what we've got for you tonight basically was an overview of spring practice as a whole. We also got into where his team is now in comparison to where it was back in January. He touched on the defensive backs and may have the quotes of the season to this point. He told us about county fair of competitions. He did not want the spring game to look like this. So here's a little bit more with Shane Beamer.
It's been good. I mean, certainly it's there's ups and downs. There's no doubt about it. Every day is an adventure. But the way that these guys have worked and embraced everything that we've asked them to do as a staff, from myself to Coach Day to Demo and Connor and the rest of the coaching staff, Kristen and nutrition. We got a great group, great organization of people, and it's a great atmosphere in that building. I know you guys aren't in there day in, day out, but it is a great atmosphere, and it makes me proud as a head coach for people to come in and tell me how great it is. And I understand, I'm not naive. The honeymoon phase is still going on. We haven't lost a game yet. Everything's great right now, and there's going to be bumps in the road. I know that, but where we are right now, it's been fantastic. They've worked their rear ends off and have gotten better individually, better as a football team, and are doing a lot of great things on and off the field. We've done a great job academically. Katie Christensen and her staff and academics have been awesome, and now we got to finish up the semester. But I couldn't be more pleased right now, Mike, with where we are. Wish we were a little bit healthier, a little bit farther along. I wish we'd been able to, see some of these guys that haven't been able to do anything this spring because of injuries. But other than that, things are great.
Shane, kind of sticking with that, but what did you see from your defensive backs today, and how do you kind of balance knowing that some of these guys are banged up and you'll get more guys in over the summer?
Yeah, credit them. I mean, there were some times where throughout the spring, because of injuries, I think I told you guys we had James Bartholomew, who's came out in a walk-on tryout back in January. At one point was running with the second team at defensive back just because of injuries. So that is a thin group, but credit those guys. Cam Smith being out there today, he's battled through some injuries all spring. Seeing O'Donnell's done some nice things. Dom, all those guys, that was good to see. And then we Foster, he's just steady. So I like the group for sure. They've got to continue to get more depth. We lost R.J. Roderick early in the spring game with a little ankle injury, which is disappointing and unfortunate. But the rest of those guys stepped up and have done a nice job. So we've got to continue to add to the depth in that room because, that's one of the positions where we're very thin at, and a lot of your core special teams players are going to come from that defensive back room and that linebacker room, and our numbers aren't where we need them to be right now. linebacker, Mo Kaba, Sherrod, those guys didn't play today. So we got to get all those guys back healthy on that back seven. But I like the group, though. Coach Gray and Coach White have done an awesome job coaching those groups, and excited to see about, some of the new arrivals we'll have here this summer that are coming in here that aren't here right now, and being able to continue to move that group forward throughout the summer and into the season.
Shane, would you still be interested in adding guys from the transfer portal between now and August?
If they can help our team and they'd be a fit for our team, certainly we're never going to, I'm not going to say no to that. We got to get better as a football team between now and August, and the group we have right now, and then also potentially adding someone as well. But we've got to make sure that anybody we do add to this group fits our culture, our environment. So we've got a great group in there right now. So they've got to fit that as well. But if they can help our football team, we'll certainly, look into exploring a situation if it were to come up.
Hey Shane, what did you see from Debo Williams in the linebacker position today?
Jeez. That guy plays hard every single snap. I mean, he had some physical hits today, and that's just that's the way that he approaches every day, man. He's all business all the time. He came up to me in pregame warmups and just thanked me for the opportunity that we gave him here at the University of South Carolina to play football. And he played like it today, that he was thankful to be here and love his mentality. He's got to continue to get better, got to continue to understand what we're, coaching him to do and being able to execute. But it is important to him, and he's grateful to be here. So he really flashed, man. One thing about him, he may not always know what to do, but he is always around the ball. And that's a great quality to have.
Hey, Sharon, early in the spring, you were asked about, if you could name a starting quarterback at the end of spring, you would like to, given what it does for the team and the structure going into the summer. Are you at that point right now?
Yeah, I mean, unless something just totally changes between now and when we watch the tape. I mean, Luke Doty's our starting quarterback, and like every other position, that is going to be competition throughout the summer. By no means are we anointing Luke, but I mean, Luke has taken every rep with the first team all spring practice. I didn't see anything today to make me, think otherwise. He's great. Now, it was great to see Jason make some throws. Great to see Colton do some things today. Connor, that whole group. But we're competing. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Luke's got to continue to get better. Luke's got to continue to progress over the summer. Luke's got to have a great preseason training camp. But yes, as we come out of spring practice, Luke's our starting quarterback. Now it's his job to continue to earn that and continue to compete between now and the Eastern Illinois game.
Hey, Shane, do you treat a spring game as just another practice like the other 15, or do you put a little different weight on it, especially with, it being in a stadium and it being kind of the conclusion and the capper of spring ball?
Yeah, good question. I mean, to me, it's different because you are your own national television. You're in the stadium. You're in front of your fans. So it's certainly different from that standpoint. But at the same time, it's also we needed to get better. I mean, I didn't want to come out here and turn it into a spring festival or spring carnival like I know some teams across college football do. We got way too much work to do. And we didn't need to waste our 15th practice on a, county fair of competitions out there to entertain people. We needed to get better as a football team today. And so from that standpoint, yes, it was practice number 15. But at the same time, we also wanted to make it fun and enjoyable for our fans. And our players knew, it was different. We tried to treat this very much like a game day as much as we could.
Sort of a broad question, but what's sort of the overall message you'll have for your guys before y'all break and I guess send them on their way for the next little bit?
We have a team meeting tomorrow morning. Well, that'll be kind of the wrap up because really they get into exams. I think tomorrow is the last day of class, if I'm not mistaken, and then they start exams right after that. So, I mean, for some of our guys, they're going to be, depending on their exam situation, they're going to be headed home pretty soon after that team meeting ends and classes are over. So my message to them is we've gotten better as a football team. We've got a lot that we've got to do here between now and the first game. We've got to finish up everything strong academically. I want these guys to be able to get away a little bit in May. It's been a long year with everything that was going on, coaching change last season, COVID. I mean, it's been a long year, so I want these guys to be able to get away a little bit in May be with their families and come back refreshed in June, ready to work. And it's going to be a huge summer. I mean, Coach Day and Chip Morton, our strength staff, we've already spent a lot of time talking about this summer and how we're going to structure this. And teams can take a big step in the summertime. And I'm, eager for our guys to get back out here and get to work and continue to, progress and move this thing forward as well.
All right, the thoughts of Shane Beamer. So what do you take away, Chris, from what Shane had to say? He spoke for over 24 minutes. And, from a observer standpoint, what do you take away? And then from a fan standpoint, if you are a Gamecock fan who listened to all that, what do you think Gamecock fans should take away from that?
I think they should be encouraged. He said all the right things. As I mentioned a couple of times earlier, I think he may have taken the question about the stretching the length of the field and the downfield passing a little bit too close to heart, because I think that's a fair concern and going into the fall. But clearly he has continued to win the press conference. He says all the right things. He's extremely positive about things he's seen. He actually joked earlier in the presser about the 7-on-7 drill that they ran right before the starts of the spring game yesterday and how inefficient he thought his quarterbacks were. But then almost in the same breath, he came around and said how much he enjoyed and appreciated the efficiency of the offense. So I think coming out of spring, he's excited about where the team is now versus where they were when he first took over. But clearly they've got a lot of work to do, and that's fine. You don't expect them to be a polished unit coming out of spring in his first spring practice with that team. I did find it funny. He said he wished he had 15 more spring practices, as I'm sure every coach in college football does. But he added a twist to that. He said he's enjoying coaching this current crop of players. Now, that just may be him, and he'll say that every year. But I think if you're a Carolina fan, you've got to at least be encouraged. There are signs, positive signs, going forward, whereas 6 months ago at this time, I don't think anybody had any optimism surrounding the USC football program.
All right, some news just coming out. Former USC forward Justin Minaya has a new home. He's going to Providence. Now, didn't he also put his name in the draft and also in the portal? But I think since he's announcing he's going to Providence, probably means he's not going to stick in the draft, which is a smart move because he's not going to be drafted anyway.
Is that him getting closer back to home field? Because otherwise, I mean, he's a New Jersey guy, so I can see that. But otherwise, Providence doesn't seem like that's a major step up. I mean, that's a team that finished right around 500 last year. So, I mean, he's not going from, say, South Carolina to Baylor. And you could
no, but he's going from 6 wins to about 15 wins or 15, so. Right. And let's face it, I think these guys. Look, 8 guys left the program, and I don't know how many of them were. I don't know if any were ushered out or if they all left on their own volition in terms of deciding, hey, I need to go somewhere else. And but Frank Martin's replaced them with, I think, 8 incoming guys. So just a big old revolving door at South Carolina. But Minaya is headed to Providence, so he's found himself a new home. And let's see, had a couple of other notes to pass along here late in the show. Let's see, did that. And we talked about that. Mark Turgeon of Maryland has hired Danny Manning as an assistant coach. So that's pretty big. Upstate's Devin Buckner, the Big South baseball player of the week, he only hit 750. 9 for 12 in 4 games. And 6 runs scored and 6 RBIs. Clemson's Mac Anglin, the ACC pitcher of the week, had a great outing in the win over Wake Forest Friday night, struck out 11. Presbyterian's Eric Toth, the Big South relief pitcher of the week, he got a save and a win in the series victory over Campbell. Presbyterian running back Delvecchio Powell is the PFL Freshman Offensive Player of the Year. He had 311 rushing yards and a touchdown, 17 catches for 135 yards and 2 scores. Our friends over at Bet Online sent us several NFL draft prop bets, including these on Trevor Lawrence. You ready, Chris?
I am. Fire away.
Who will Trevor Lawrence hug first? It's 5-4. He'll hug his wife. 9-5 his mom. 2-1 his dad. 8-1 his sibling, and 16-1 his friend. I'm putting the money on the wife, too.
I would agree. Now, in years past, he would have been in the green room at the draft and would have hugged the commissioner first, right? I mean, Roger Goodell would have gotten that first hug, right?
The man hug?
The man hug. But now I think since everything's going to be via...
In the green room, or where he would have been sitting at his agent's table, he would have had his family and friends there. He would have hugged them first, then gone up on stage and gotten the man hug from Goodell.
Right. Yeah, you may be right on that. Yeah, that's true. But there's no question. Let's put it this way: if he does not hug his wife first, it is going to be an awkward moment for Trevor, and he's too smart for that.
Yes.
He's way too smart for that.
All right, couple of more. Primary color of Marissa Mowry's dress: green/teal. Top odds at 5-4, orange 3-2, gold 11-4, and black 17-4. I think it should be orange. Don't you think they should all be wearing orange? Will Trevor Lawrence be wearing a tie? It's even money on yes, 5-7 on no. Will Trevor Lawrence cry? It's 11-2 that he will cry.
No.
1 to 10.
What's the no? 1 to 10.
1 to 10 that he won't cry.
No, I'm not seeing that.
Yeah,
I'm not seeing that at all. And back to the outfit. Keep in mind, it's not Clemson anymore. They've got to, fill in at Jacksonville. They've got to make themselves well known and well liked quickly. So maybe they could go teal.
This quick note on LSU: 7 women filed a federal class action lawsuit against LSU and its leadership today, with the university's former president and AD, as well as his athletics fundraising group, among those named as defendants. This, according to a copy of the lawsuit obtained by ESPN. And the Braves got off to a good start. They were up 3-0 in their game tonight against the Cubs. It's now 4-0, the Braves. Charlie Morton has a no-hitter through 2. Does that count as a no-hitter, Pat? Through 2 innings? You want to give him a credit for a no-hitter through 2?
Come on, no.
Y'all have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.
The only afternoon local talk radio in Columbia is the Afternoon Drive with Kev. It's all about you. It's your phone calls. It's my challenging topics. All the news, traffic, and weather weekdays, 4 p.m. on The Point.
Press that button, home stew.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters. The Supreme Court has agreed to hear an appeal to expand gun rights in the United States. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.